They say time heals all wounds, but for Storm, time has only strengthened his vigil. 5 years ago, Captain Thomas Wright left a set of coordinates with his faithful horse before disappearing into the mountain mist. Now, as Storm's behavior grows increasingly urgent, Anna realizes this isn't just about loyalty. It's about a soldier's final message that only his most trusted friend could protect. In the quiet hills of Tennessee, where morning fog hugs the old fence posts, Storm stands watching at the east gate. His brown coat isn't as shiny as it used to be, but his eyes stay bright and alert, always looking down the dirt road that winds into the pine trees. Every morning for 5 years, this faithful horse has stood here, his ears perking up at every car sound, only to drop with sadness when they pass by. Anna Matthews sips her morning coffee on her porch, watching Storm like she has every day since Captain Thomas Wright left. She remembers that last day clearly, how Thomas pressed his forehead against Storm's nose, whispering, "I will come back," to his beloved horse. Thomas had found Storm years ago, half-starved on an empty farm, and nursed him back to health. Since then, their bond grew stronger than any Anna had ever seen between a person and animal. The town people think Anna's foolish for keeping Thomas's small ranch going, for believing he might come back after so long. War changes people, they say quietly, shaking their heads. But they haven't seen what Anna sees, how Storm's whole body comes alive when he hears Thomas's name, how he runs to the gate when military trucks pass by, or how he stands for hours under the old oak tree where Thomas used to read his books on summer afternoons. Today feels different somehow. The air feels special, and Storm isn't acting like usual. Instead of standing still by the gate, he walks up and down the fence, making soft, nickering sounds into the morning air. Anna puts down her coffee, feeling her heart beat faster. Far away, she hears an engine. It sounds like a military truck, but Anna tries not to hope too much. She's seen Storm disappointed too many times. Suddenly, Storm freezes. His ears point forward, and his nose tests the wind. Then, before Anna can move, Storm lets out a loud whinny that echoes across the valley. It's a sound she hasn't heard since Thomas left. The truck slows down at the gate, and through the morning fog, someone steps out. They walk with a slight limp, but move with purpose. Storm rears up against the morning sun, then runs along the fence, keeping pace with the walking person. Anna's hand covers her mouth as she realizes what's happening. After 5 long years of faithful waiting, Storm's unwavering loyalty is about to be rewarded. Sometimes love means waiting, even when others say it's hopeless. Sometimes faith means standing watch, day after day, believing in a promise. And sometimes, on a misty morning, when hope feels far away, that faith brings miracles home. From her porch, Anna watches the sunset and remembers how Storm and Thomas first became heroes in their small town. It happened during the worst fire season anyone could remember. Thomas, a young army captain then, rode Storm through thick smoke to save an old couple trapped in their mountain cabin. When they came out of the smoke, Thomas's uniform was burned, but his brave smile never faded. But it wasn't just the big moments that made their bond special. Anna remembers quiet evenings when Thomas would sit in Storm's stable, reading his books out loud. Storm would rest his head on Thomas's shoulder, their breathing matching perfectly. During thunderstorms, Storm would stand close to Thomas, knowing his master still carried painful memories from the war. They helped each other heal, the soldier with hidden scars and the horse who had been hurt before Thomas found him. The day Thomas got his orders to leave was burned in Anna's memory. He spent hours brushing Storm until his coat shone like silk in the sun. "Storm's not just any horse, Anna," Thomas said, his voice shaking a little. "When things got tough in army training, he kept me going. He knows when I'm hurting before I do." His hands trembled as he gave Anna his dog tags. "Keep these with Storm. He'll know I'm coming back." Their last day together was hard to watch. Thomas led Storm to their favorite oak tree, where they'd spent countless hours training. Storm stood perfectly still as Thomas whispered in his ear, "I'll come back, boy. Wait for me." Storm gently touched his nose to Thomas's chest, right over his heart, like he was making his own promise. In the years that followed, Anna saw how deep their bond was. During the first year, Storm would run alongside any military vehicle that passed by, hoping to see Thomas. By the second year, he started his daily watch at the gate. Through hot summers and cold winters, Storm never missed a day. He would only leave his post when Anna brought out Thomas's old jacket, letting Storm smell the scent that still clung to it. Signs of their special connection were everywhere. Storm watched over Thomas's saddle in the stable like it was treasure. Late at night, Anna would find him standing where Thomas used to park his truck, looking down the road. During storms, Storm would get extra alert, remembering how he used to comfort his master who feared thunder. People in town started leaving treats for Storm, apples and carrots by the fence. Children would bring their parents to see the loyal horse, and his story spread through the county like a beautiful tale. But for Anna, who saw Storm's sadness and hope each day, it wasn't just a story, it was about love that nothing could break. Now 5 years later, watching Storm take his daily walk to the gate, Anna understands why Thomas trusted her with his beloved horse. Some bonds go deeper than words can explain. Storm's faith in Thomas's return isn't just animal instinct. It's a love so pure and strong that it can't be measured in time or distance. Every evening at sunset, Storm walks to the gate. It's the same path he's taken for 5 years, his hooves following steps worn into the grass. As the church bell rings 6 times, he takes his spot and stands still, watching the road where Thomas left long ago. Cars slow down when they pass by. Such a shame, people say, shaking their heads. That horse is still waiting. Some neighbors tell Anna she should sell Storm, let him start a new life. But they haven't seen what Anna sees. How Storm's ears move at every car sound, how his eyes still shine with hope. During these quiet evenings, Anna brings Thomas's letters. She sits on the old bench near Storm, holding pages made soft from being read so many times. "Dear Storm," she starts reading, and the horse moves closer, listening just like he did when Thomas used to talk to him. The letters are full of Thomas's words about missing home and promises to return. "Watch for me on that road, buddy," his last letter said. "One day I'll walk back to you." While Anna reads, Storm stays perfectly still. Only his tail moves in the evening wind, but his eyes never leave the road. When night comes and stars appear, Storm doesn't want to leave his spot. Only when Anna touches his neck and says softly, "Time to go in, boy," does he turn away. But he always looks back one last time before going to the barn. Sometimes at night, Anna finds Storm standing where Thomas used to park his truck. Or he'll be in the stable, standing near Thomas's old saddle. The village people think he's just a confused horse stuck in the past, but Anna knows better. She sees pure love that won't give up, hope that stays strong even after 5 long years. Each new day, Storm goes back to his post. His faith never shakes. His watch never stops, as he waits for the master he believes will come home. The change comes on a stormy summer night. Anna wakes up to a sound she hasn't heard in years. Storm's loud cry cutting through the sound of rain. It's different from his usual quiet waiting. This cry sounds urgent, desperate. Grabbing her flashlight and raincoat, Anna runs outside into the pouring rain. The beam of her light finds Storm by the gate, but he's not standing still like usual. His hooves strike the ground hard, making loud thuds that match the thunder above. His whole body seems to shake with energy, and his eyes gleam wildly in the darkness. "Storm, what's wrong?" Anna calls out, but another crack of thunder drowns her voice. The air feels strange tonight, charged with more than just lightning. Storm keeps moving back and forth along the fence, tossing his head and letting out sharp cries that pierce through the storm. Lightning flashes across the sky, lighting up the valley for a split second. In that bright moment, Anna thinks she sees something moving on the road, a shadow or shape in the distance. Storm sees it too. He lets out his loudest cry yet and starts moving along the fence line with purpose, looking back at Anna as if saying, "Follow me." The wind whips around them, carrying a strange smell. Not just rain and wet earth, but something else. Something that makes Storm even more excited. His hooves pound a fast beat against the muddy ground, and his eyes never leave that spot where the road disappears into the dark trees. Anna's fingers fumble with the gate latch, her heart beating fast. This is different from Storm's usual behavior. For 5 years, she's watched him stand quietly at this gate, patient and calm. But tonight, something has changed. Storm acts like he knows something, like he's finally found what he's been waiting for all these years. Thunder rolls overhead like drums as Anna opens the gate. Storm moves closer, nudging her shoulder, urging her to follow him into the stormy night. His eyes hold a message she can't quite understand, but she knows it's important. Whatever has broken Storm's 5-year routine must be serious. Rain soaks through her clothes as she grabs a rope to tie around Storm's neck. The horse dances impatiently, pulling her toward the dark forest path. Each flash of lightning shows the way ahead, a dangerous trail leading up into the mountains. Anna takes a deep breath, gathering her courage. Something is waiting out there in the storm. Something that has called to Storm so strongly it broke his faithful vigil. And now there's only one way to find out what it is. Follow where Storm leads, into the heart of the storm. Through heavy rain, Anna follows Storm into the dark forest. Her flashlight catches glimpses of his hooves as he picks his way along an old trail, the same path he and Thomas used to ride together. Her boots sink deep in mud and tree branches scratch her face. But Storm's presence ahead keeps her going, his soft sounds telling her to follow. Around her neck hang Thomas's dog tags, the ones he left for Storm to remember him by. For 5 years, she'd watched Storm gently touch these tags with his nose during their evening waits. Now, as they push deeper into the woods, the metal feels warm against her skin, as if carrying some message that only Storm can understand. They stop in a clearing where Thomas and Storm used to rest during their rides. Storm's ears move back and forth, his nose testing the air. Anna's light catches something shiny in the leaves. It's Thomas's old army medal, the one he got in a special ceremony. Anna's hands shake as she picks it up. What is it doing out here so far from home? Lightning shows them the dangerous path ahead. They're heading toward Devil's Ridge, a place even experienced hikers avoid. But Storm moves like he knows exactly where he's going, choosing each step carefully, following some trail only he can sense. Anna remembers how Thomas used to say Storm had a special way of knowing things. Sometime, he'd said, Storm knows what I need before I do. The wind carries a faint tune, the army song Thomas used to hum while brushing Storm. At first, Anna thinks she's imagining it, but Storm's reaction tells her she's not. His ears point forward, and he walks faster. They find more of Thomas's things along the way. His old compass lying in the mud, pieces of his torn army jacket that Anna recognizes from his last photo. Each thing they find makes Anna's heart beat faster, mixing hope and fear in her chest. Storm seems to know how she feels. He stops to touch her shoulder with his nose, giving her the same comfort he used to give Thomas when he was sad. In Storm's eyes, Anna sees something more than just animal smarts. She sees understanding that goes deeper than words. The path gets steeper and more dangerous. Lightning shows an old fire tower standing against the dark sky. Storm starts acting more urgent, moving with clear purpose. He keeps looking back at Anna, his eyes seeming to carry a message. Whatever made him break his 5-year wait at the gate must be up there in that tower. Thunder rolls across the valley, sounding like far-off explosions. Anna knows they've gone too far to turn back now. Whatever waits ahead, they have to find it. For Storm, for Thomas, and for the faithful love that brought them here. Through it all, Storm leads the way with sure steps, as if following a map written in his heart. Each time Anna's courage wavers, he waits for her, letting her touch his wet mane for strength. They're not just following a trail anymore. They're following Storm's unshakable faith, a faith that's carried him through 5 years of waiting and now guides him through this stormy night towards something or someone he never stopped believing in. Through the heavy rain, Anna follows Storm to an old fire tower. Suddenly, Storm stops and starts pawing at a pile of broken wood and metal. Anna's flashlight shows where the tower has fallen down. Her heart nearly stops when Storm makes a sound she's never heard before, a low, sad cry that seems to carry all his years of waiting. Then she sees it, a hand sticking out from under the wreckage, moving weakly. The military ring on the finger catches the light, and Anna's world spins. "Thomas!" she cries out, dropping to her knees beside Storm to help clear away the debris. They find Thomas curled up, his uniform dirty and torn. His face is thin and pale, but when his eyes flutter open at the sound of his name, they're still the same kind eyes Storm waited 5 years to see. "Storm," Thomas whispers, his voice rough and weak. "You found me, old friend." Storm gently touches his nose to Thomas's cheek, and Anna can't stop her tears from falling. 5 years of faithful waiting has led to this moment. Working quickly, Anna checks Thomas's heartbeat. It's weak but steady. His skin feels cold and clammy. "Stay with us," she begs, taking off her jacket to wrap around him. Storm moves to block the wind with his body, protecting his master just like he used to do during their army training. Thomas is shivering badly, but Storm presses close, sharing his warmth. Thomas speaks in short, broken sentences as Anna tries to warm him up. He tells them how he got lost hiking in the mountains when the storm hit. The tower platform broke, trapping him below. "I kept thinking of Storm," he says weakly, his fingers tangling in his horse's wet mane. "Kept seeing him at that gate, waiting. Couldn't give up. Had to get back." Storm stands guard over them, trembling not from cold but from emotion. Every few seconds, he gently nudges Thomas's face, making sure his master stays awake. When Thomas's eyes start to close, Storm lets out a sharp neighing sound to keep him alert, something Anna had seen him do years ago when Thomas had nightmares. The sound of rescue helicopters fills the air. Anna managed to call for help during their journey. But the real miracle is right here: a horse who never lost faith, a master who fought to return, and a bond strong enough to bridge 5 years of separation. As the helicopter's bright light shines down on them, Thomas lifts his hand weakly to Storm's neck, touching that familiar spot worn smooth by years of similar gestures. "Good boy," he whispers, and those two simple words carry the weight of 5 years. Years of waiting, of believing, of never giving up hope. Storm makes a soft, gentle sound in response, the sound of a promise kept, of faith rewarded, of love that proves stronger than time itself. In this moment, as rain falls around them and rescue teams approach, Anna realizes she's witnessing something extraordinary. Storm's loyalty didn't just keep him waiting at a gate, it led him through darkness and storm to save his master's life. Some bonds, she now knows, are truly magical, reaching beyond what we can explain to touch the very heart of love itself. As morning sunlight breaks through the clouds, Thomas returns to the village in an ambulance, with Storm walking proudly beside it. All along the main street, people gather to watch. These are the same people who once said Storm was foolish for waiting, but now they stand in silence, amazed by what has happened. Storm walks with his head held high, each step full of purpose. Everyone can see he's no ordinary horse anymore. He's a hero who never gave up on his master. Children point and whisper, "That's Storm, the horse who saved his owner." Even the old-timers who doubted him the most now remove their hats in respect as the procession passes. At the hospital, Storm refuses to leave. He stays by the window of Thomas's room, just like he stayed at the gate all those years. The hospital staff, moved by their story, let Storm stay. Every day, Thomas wheels his chair to the window, placing his hand on the glass. Storm gently touches the other side with his nose, their bond as strong as ever. Thomas gets stronger each day, and Anna visits often, telling him stories about how Storm waited for him. Every single evening, she tells Thomas, Storm would stand at that gate looking down the road. He never missed a day. Thomas listens with tears in his eyes, reaching out to stroke Storm's nose through the open window. The whole village changes too. The coffee shop puts up pictures of Storm, and the local newspaper tells their story. School children write essays about Storm's loyalty, and tourists start coming just to see the famous horse who never lost hope. The old ranch, once a place of sadness, becomes a symbol of faith and love. As Thomas slowly recovers, he spends more time in the hospital garden with Storm and Anna. The nurses smile when they see them together, the faithful horse, the grateful master, and the woman who believed in them both. Storm stays close to Thomas, always watching, as if making sure his master won't disappear again. "I don't know how to thank you both," Thomas often says, his voice soft. "You never gave up on me." Storm responds with a gentle nudge, while Anna just smiles, knowing that some things don't need thanks. They just need faith. The villagers bring carrots and apples for Storm, not out of pity now, but out of respect. They've learned something important from this horse, that sometimes the ones they call foolish are actually the wisest of all. That keeping faith, even when others doubt, can lead to miracles. As summer turns to fall, Thomas grows stronger, and Storm stays by his side, their bond deeper than ever. The village has a new story to tell now, not just about a horse who waited, but about love that never dies and faith that moves mountains. And in the evening light, when Storm and Thomas sit together in the garden, everyone can see that some bonds are truly unbreakable. As summer turns to fall, the meadow where Storm kept his watch becomes a place of healing. Warm sunlight shines through the leaves of the old oak tree, where Thomas now sits each day with Storm grazing nearby. The path to the gate, worn down by Storm's 5 years of waiting, slowly disappears under fresh grass, as if nature itself is helping them start anew. From her porch, Anna watches Thomas and Storm find their way back to each other. Every morning they meet at the gate, not because they have to, but to remember the miracle that happened there. Thomas often leans his head against Storm's, speaking softly to his faithful friend, while Storm stands quietly, at peace just being near his master again. In these quiet moments, Anna sees something almost magical, as if their bond is stronger than ever. The sound of Thomas's laughter fills the evening air, a sound Anna had missed without knowing it. Storm, always in tune with his master's feelings, dances playfully when he hears it. They heal each other day by day, just like they did after the war, but now their trust runs even deeper. One evening, as the sun starts to set, Thomas climbs onto Storm's back for the first time since coming home. Anna holds her breath as she watches them move across the meadow together, like they'd never been apart. Storm steps surely and proudly, carrying Thomas with the same love that kept him waiting all those years. They stop at the top of the hill, outlined against the orange sky. The setting sun makes Storm's mane shine like gold, and Thomas sits straight and tall, one hand resting gently on his horse's neck. They're more than just a man and his horse. They show everyone who sees them that love and loyalty can overcome anything. As night falls and darkness wraps around them, their story continues to touch hearts. It reminds everyone in their small town that sometimes if you believe hard enough and wait long enough, miracles really do happen. In our fast-moving world, where people often give up too easily, Storm's story reminds us of something special. It's not just about a horse waiting for his master. It's about believing in something so strongly that nothing can shake that faith. For 5 years, through hot summers and cold winters, Storm never doubted. He just waited, watched, and believed. Sometimes people called it foolish. They said Anna was wasting her time keeping Thomas's ranch, and Storm was just a confused animal. But true loyalty isn't about what makes sense to others. It's about what your heart knows to be true. Storm's heart never forgot Thomas, and that unshakable faith led him straight to his master on that stormy night. The bond between humans and animals is something we can't fully explain. It goes deeper than words, deeper than logic. Storm didn't need words to show his love. He showed it every day by standing at that gate, waiting. And when Thomas needed him most, that same love guided Storm through the darkness to find him. In every small town now, people tell Storm's story. Parents share it with their children, teaching them that miracles don't just happen in fairy tales. Sometimes they happen right in our own backyards, when love and loyalty are strong enough to light the way home. Anna learned something too, that being faithful doesn't mean just waiting quietly. Sometimes it means trusting a horse's instincts on a stormy night. Sometimes it means believing when everyone else has given up hope. And sometimes it means being ready for a miracle even after 5 long years. Now, when people pass by the meadow and see Thomas and Storm together, they understand. They see how Storm's unwavering faith brought his master back home. They see how love can bridge any distance, heal any wound, and overcome any obstacle. And perhaps that's the greatest lesson of all, that loyalty, pure and true, is the strongest force we know. It can guide us home when we're lost, give us strength when we're weak, and keep hope alive even in the darkest times. For anyone who has ever doubted the power of faith and love, remember Storm's story. Sometimes the greatest miracles come wrapped in horsehair and hope, teaching us that if we believe strongly enough and love deeply enough, nothing is impossible.